our neighbors, two of our neighbors, in this storm and a problem we had with our well a couple of months ago, both of them have checked in on us. And we're pretty hardy, but those people did come over and check on us and bent over backward to do what they could for us. And that's what everybody should be doing. And I have no quarrel with these people that are taking their lives in their hands, trying to get the power back up for all of us. Everybody wants it right away, me first, but you know, they're doing what they could do. And you know, Eversource kept all of these out-of-state crews over for the second storm and also for this storm.
Correct.
And I have no quarrels with them. Driving down the street, you could see what a mess it was, and there was no reason for any of us to complain about. I don't know what, is it Sue DeCarly or Sue Costa?
Costa.
You know, I don't know what she was reading. She wasn't here, but she seems like a hearty soul, and maybe she must have just gotten the wrong information.
Yes.
Tanya Moriarty again. I'm just asking, could we please have High Meadow as a priority fix? There's 22 elderly who live there. Some are on oxygen. I've heard that they were connected to Walkley Hill. I'm not sure if that's the case, but on behalf of the board, look, my sister and I serve on the board there. Could we please put them on, and especially since they don't have a generator right now?
So I have asked if they could be on a priority because they are concerned because they don't have a generator. And I was also concerned because the last storm that happened in October, the Saberton Haddam's generator, after so long, went out. Unfortunately, because they're privately owned, they cannot be identified as a priority space. So when the power does go out, we can request and put them on the list, but it has to be up to the property manager to initially report that outage. That's where the responsibility lies. And I'm more than happy to escalate it. I did in the October storm. And I also escalated it in this past storm. There was an issue with a switch, that's why High Meadow didn't go on. They weren't tied to Walkley Hill. They needed a piece of equipment that was failing, and they couldn't figure out why. But they made High Meadow a priority once I could get it confirmed.
Yeah, I appreciate
And
that.
I can't make High Meadow a priority more than I can make the Saberton Haddam a priority. They're both considered privately owned housing.
They're HUD subsidized.
I'm well aware of that.
Okay.
The reason that there's more people on the board right now is because HUD has been involved.
Right.
So I've had many conversations with HUD about High Meadow. I will do anything I can for you to get that. And I know you're new to the board.
Yes,
we have a data.
we're trying to find our way.
And I just think you need to maybe look at another property management company, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no.
They've been used to doing what they needed to do for a
Yes.
long time. There's
Yeah.
been no accountability. And those seniors deserve it.
Of course.
And people call us out all the time and want to know why we're paying attention to them, because they don't have a voice for themselves. And that's why the town's paying so much attention.
Well, I appreciate the town's involvement and people coming by, bringing donuts and coffee and then agreeing.
And I know, and I read that, and I think that's a perfect example of what we need to do in the community, what we need to do together. And I read that you did that.
Well, thank you. It wasn't me, but we, some,
It was family, I know there were a lot of family members and
Yeah.
some people from the public, and I think that
Yeah.
that was a great thing. But it's extremely frustrating because the town, it's just like me saying, I want Eversource to do something at your house. The town does not have control over what to do at your house. It's as
Right.
simple as that. And they are aware, so I do make sure that they're there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One last thing on that. You said the Monday morning quarterback thing is awful. It truly is. I've been involved in emergency management for 30 years, and you're right, Monday morning quarterback is awful. But since we do, after a large event such as the hospital, such as a lot of things I've been involved with, we do a hot wash after. I was wondering if you're going to plan that where you bring in your department heads, okay, we did this excellent. This is how we can improve in the future. I just suggest, because we do it all the time.
We have that planned, and as soon as my departments can breathe from the brush
Okay.
debris and everything else that they're working with, that is on the agenda.
Yeah, it's completely
There's
different from
nothing
Monday
wrong
morning
with going back
quarterback,
and
which is.
seeing how a team
Yeah.
can do it better.
Yeah.
Absolutely
And I
nothing
agree
wrong
with
with
you,
that.
the Monday morning quarterback is awful, but the planning for it needs to happen.
No, when everybody can breathe. Yes,
Yes, Tony DeMay, Silver Spring Drive. I've been in Haddam for 22 years. We have about 100 shrubs and about 20 ornamentals. we have lost one half of one ornamental in 22 years. We lost every single ornamental had major damage. This was one hell of a storm. They started by saying 6 inches, then they said 9 inches, then they said maybe a foot. Well, we had 15 inches. Took 3 neighbors to clear our driveway. And so this, you have to recognize, this was heavy, wet snow. And it was a kind of an unusual situation.
It was very.
Eversource was informing us now every 8 hours with updates. We couldn't always get it out there because we didn't have any power, we didn't have consistent internet service. As far as the telephones go, as time goes on, more and more people are getting onto Comcast.
Yep.
And so it used to be the telephone was always there. It isn't always there anymore, so we have to figure out how to deal with it. That's an issue. So, and I like the idea of going back and figuring out how we can do better. I think that's great. But Eversource, their online, their telephone access for reporting outages is not as good as it was a year ago. So that's one thing we can communicate with. It's really, the estimates they give, they used to give you an estimate, you'll have power in 4 hours, you had it in 2.5 hours. Now they say you'll have power in 4 hours, and they don't call you back and say it's going to be
I know.
9 hours, they call them back and say, well, it's 9 hours, then it's 15 hours, so that needs to be improved.
No, and there were a lot of people who kept being told, myself included, that your power is going to come out every 2 hours, and it didn't happen for days.
Right.
So I think they recognized that when they said, okay, everybody will be up Thursday at 11:30. So I appreciate that. And I do have a meeting. I did after the October storm with our Eversource liaison, and we met with them individually and as a town leaders, and we expressed our concerns of issues that we have with them. So, yes.
Lou Millard. My complaint is we're all getting spoiled, okay? So the older generation here will understand, like this couple here, we live in New England. My headache was everybody complaining. You help out, we are good people in here in Haddam. We helped our neighbors, we offered our house up to whoever needed to come. My complaint with Eversource, and I would love to write a letter. I go on a construction site, if there's a hole in the ground, I gotta mark it so no one gets hurt. I almost lost the hood in my truck because there was power lines down that they didn't mark, even the tree branches. So my complaint with Eversource would be, they at least have to go out and label these, hang some ribbons. I'm not saying it's our town people's responsibility because our town drivers shouldn't be touching any wires or anything. But I watched an Eversource guy sit in a truck, just sit there, and the wire was down maybe a couple 100 yards in front of him. Truck smashed in front of Dan Luisi's house because he was dodging something that nobody marked. That's not the town's responsibility, but I think it was Eversource. So they should get a letter. I would like to see a letter. I'd sign it, I'd write it, I'd sign my name to it. But it was devastation out there. So unless you work in the field, I think they did a great job getting to where we can get. But not marking the situation was very dangerous, and I almost lost my...
What day was that?
Saturday.
Because they were identifying issues until Friday morning and that, so, all right.
Because in front of Dan's house, what was it, Thursday or Friday? Thursday morning.
His truck into a tree.
And then people were driving underneath it, and I was like, you guys, you can't drive underneath this. And
And
I'm not
going
the right to
All
stop
right, you
it.
guys need to
Yeah.
this way. All right, anyone else before we move on? Yes.
Hi, I'm Miles Creek. The Board of Education, of course, I guess they passed that thing for the school and everything. But which direction would you feel like, you guys being like in charge people, which way would you go with it now if you wanted to fight that? Is there a certain way you go about to do it?
For individuals?
Well, I mean, I'd like to keep the school open, it's cool, you know,
I would.
for the kids. Is there like a certain path that you would go or a certain way of?
I mean, I did not go to the meeting where they voted, so I don't know what was done. I did hear there was a petition that was handed in, and I don't know what the board responded to that for. I would continue to go to the Board of Education meeting and write letters. There was supposed to be a joint Board of Ed, Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen meeting last Thursday night. It was per the budget, but I don't know if, I don't remember the agenda for public comment or not. That meeting got canceled because of the storm, and I don't know when that's going to be rescheduled. But it's really the Board of Education's property. So.
That wasn't, I had heard somewhere it was like deeded for like educational property or something.
It was
like that.
deeded for educational property. I have the document in my office if you'd like to come look at them, because we did research them. It was deeded, and it's actually very interesting. It's all handwritten and very neat in cursive writing. That the property was deeded from the Hazen family to the town for educational purposes. I believe it was in the 40s, don't quote me, or 40s or 50s. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. And then Regional School District 17, when it was actually organized and formed, then that property was deeded to the school district. So RSD 17 owns that property. So there's no,
So that deed meant nothing? That deed from the 40s meant
no,
zero?
it's superseded. There's an article in the new deed that was written that specifically calls out the old deed and says that this is no longer in existence.
Wow.
I'm happy to share that information with anybody who would like it.
Well, thank
Anyone
you.
else?
Miles, I have a further answer for you. If you want to form a, I know that there was a petition that was collected using change.org, I think. That's not a legal petition that the town clerk can use. It's something you can actually go to the town clerk's office, ask for a copy of a petition language, and then you guys could get a certain number of votes, a certain number of signatures, present that, force a referendum. That's your other option.
All right, thanks.
All right, we're gonna move on, because we do, I wanted to allow plenty of time for public comment, because this was important discussion, but we have some other business to get to, and I'd like to try to get through that. Animal control officer, I'm just gonna be, I'm skipping tax refunds, sorry. So we have 3 tax refunds, totaling $199.28 under motor vehicle. I have a motion to accept that refund.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I have a report from our animal control officer that looks as if in the month of February, she had 23 incidents. It looks like there were some multiples at certain times of the day and some repeat offenders within the month. Again, I can't make it clear. There's some even bullying with our animal control enforcement officer. There are laws that she can put through, and she does have rights to write tickets and things like that, and there's an appeal process and everything else. So asking for proof that the dog did this or the dog did that, I don't think Dawn's carrying a security or surveillance camera around with her. People need to take responsibilities for their animals. So I'm going to just leave it at that. Eleanor's report for the month of February. I have to say again, kudos to her. She's been sick, she's had issues going on, very, very busy. She assisted 26 people for energy assistance. She helped quite a few at High Meadow with recertification. She's looking at the food stamp application. She does sometimes get energy assistance requests that go into Jessica, our social services coordinator, so she does that. She's choice certified, which means she can help people with their Medicare and Medicaid questions. So she does a lot of that, and she's works sometimes with Youth and Family Services. Someone needed a bed, and that was something that we don't have the resources for, so she worked with Youth and Family Services to make sure that person got a bed. So, she called me even tonight to make sure everybody was good and safe. She's like the mom of the group. And she's a sweetie. Jessica also has been busy. She has been out there working very hard. The Haddam seniors, I've reported this before, they've been knitting away. Beth Harkey and her group, donating red baby hats for heart disease. She has some there for people who need to be kept warm. 4 Water Street Salon donated some donations to the fuel bank. Again, the community closet. And Fireworks Hearth and Home for a wonderful donation of fresh fruit and eggs. Thanks, Larry and Moore. Heaven's Storehouse Food Pantry also gave extras, and the Minetti Farm, they keep bringing eggs. The Emergency Bank served 5 families for the month of February. Haddam Food Bank served 36 adults and 18 children, and the Clothing Bank served 6 adults and 7 children. She's gonna go back with her Women of Empowerment group, which will meet on Thursday nights. The next meeting is March 22nd from 5 to 6. And we have a report from Haddam Resident Trooper. In February, there were 558 calls, 7 motor vehicle, 1 DUI. Looks like criminal mischief and disturbance calls were kept at 0, which is awesome. Narcotics, 2, domestic disturbances, 3, other reportable, 65 traffic violations, 30 warnings, 14 residential or commercial alarms, and 2 medical assists. So they continue to do what we need them to do. And then there's just some highlights of some investigations that have been going on. The majority of the month was spent in heightened security, visible at all HK schools since the Florida event. When visible, highly visible, will continue for RSD 17. They don't have an SRO, which is a resource officer. So they are also responsible with helping to work with the schools, and especially with everything that went on in Parkland. They've been very, very busy in keeping their presence there. They attended the high school to do a Q&A with the students and town officials in February 28th. There's a stolen car theft that began in 2017 that's been closed. They have DNA confirmation. We have our own CSI unit, I guess, now, to say they got that. The Saybrook Road screw scandal, Screwgate as we affectionately call it. There's been minimal complaints. Pat Morrell keeps finding them. Again, the troopers haven't seen many on the road. There are security cameras up. They have been up for quite a while. Obviously, we're not going to let you know the location of where they are. They have been trying to move them around to see what they can find. Unfortunately, there was a swastika vandalism on the Liberty Bank, and the suspect was arrested. And Dick River, this was a very good bust for our newest resident trooper, D'Angelo. There was a resident at the exit 8, that Park and Drive area, where he had 100 bags of heroin and paraphernalia on him, so he was arrested. So that was, those are the reports. Okay, so I have a few appointments to make. Chris, I saw you, there you are at the back wall. All right, so Chris Gamache. Chris has been our deputy fire marshal. Hold on, Chris, I have all my notes. I don't want to not give you all the hype you deserve. He's a lieutenant in the Middletown South Fire District. He's been serving there for 17 years. He has been one of our deputy fire marshals for 3 years. He's lived in town since 2000. He was on Haddam Fire for 15 years, and he also served as assistant chief of Haddam Fire. As many of you know, Bill is retiring effective April 1st. The recommendation to the board is to appoint Chris as our fire marshal. He's been spending a lot of time with him and in town hall and doing that. So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Chris Gamache as our fire marshal.
Make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Chris. Thank you. We appreciate you stepping up and taking care of us. The next appointment is to our infrastructure committee. Mike O'Brien, I don't think you're here. No, he's not here. Mike is retired from DEEP. He has extensive experience in water and water discharge. He no longer works for DEEP. He's retired and is actually teaching some environmental classes. We're fortunate that we have a resident with his level of experience. Mike was in Japan when we initially appointed the infrastructure committee, and it took him a couple weeks to get back to US East Coast time. So Mike has accepted to serve on the infrastructure committee. So if I can have a motion to appoint Mike O'Brien to the infrastructure committee.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, the next is Prem Athal. Prem, you're here. Do you want to stand? I'm going to embarrass you for a minute. I have an email from Prem. Let's see. Back from, there was an email from you. It's got all my highlights about it, you found. Is it here? Yeah, hold on guys, sorry. Too many papers. All right, well, I don't seem to have it. So back in, I think, January of 2016, Prem had sent me an email saying that he wanted to be involved in town. He has a finance and economic background. He asked to serve in both economic development and finance. He lives here with his wife and his family. He works at Anthem.
Yep.
He knows a lot about healthcare. He's a great team player, very strategic in problem solving. He had some work conflicts for a while, so we kind of played a little bit back and forth. And then in December of this year, he sent an email and said, listen, this is a committee that I'd like to serve on. At this time, there are 10 members on the Economic Development Committee. There is only one Republican at this time. There's 5 Democrats, 4 unaffiliated. And again, not that party matters, but I think it's important when I have someone from a minority party that wants to step up, who asked to be involved in this process early on. We're going to have some other seats that are going to be up for reappointment in May. So I met with Prem. He attended the last Economic Development Committee meeting. It didn't scare him away that he's offering his time to come back and be a volunteer on that committee, so thank you. So if I could have a motion to accept Prem a fall to Economic Development Committee.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I would like to also nominate Sean Moriarty for the Economic Development Commission. I think waiting until somebody resigns, when we have somebody who's ready to serve, has been ready to serve, and he's been following the meetings, and I think he'd be a great asset to the EDC. I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, so I have had discussions with Sean. Sean is now in the Infrastructure Committee meeting, and I know Sean can handle both. But I feel comfortable with the turn of the board and some of the changes to be able to look at this committee. Again, I have no problem making that appointment to Sean when the time comes, which will be in the next month or two. So I'm going to request that we table that until the May meeting.
Why would we have to wait?
I just think it's the minority representation.
That's not an issue.
It is an issue.
I thought it wasn't about parties.
It isn't about parties, but it's very clear in the charter about committees that are in the charter.
But there's no violation there.
That's not what I was told. So we can table it and I can double check it with the town attorney.
We don't have to check it with the town attorney. It's very simple to look it up. I've done the math and there's no issue.
I've also looked it up and I see an issue, Melissa, so we'll
Well, if
look
you could
into
Just
it.
table it for a
Email
month.
me, well, there's a motion on the floor.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. All right. The last appointment is the Haddam Park and Rec Commission, Dan Bellinger. Dan was recommended to be appointed by Jay Lonergan, who serves on the Park and Rec. Where's my notes? Thank you. I met with him. He's a great guy. He is a mental health nurse at CCM, so he has a lot of patience, but his skill set, when he was in college, he has managed athletic teams. He has worked on fields for improvement, the Vernon Sportsplex, he's worked there, so he has a lot of knowledge of what's needed on the ball field and what we need to do. That committee, as you know, is in charge of having the vendors come in and do the work that's necessary on the fields. So we want to make sure that that's safe, and he'd like to see improved activities in town. He's lived here for 3 years. He has all daughters. So he is very involved in sports and activities, and he'd like to just see things, more things happen in town. He was supposed to go to the Park and Rec meeting on Thursday to get up to speed, even though he couldn't vote. He's attended a few meetings, but that meeting was also canceled on Thursday due to the weather. So I'd like to make a motion to, and I knew Dan couldn't be here because he had a work commitment. He told me he couldn't make this meeting, so that's why he's not here. He wanted me to say that publicly because otherwise he would be here. So I have a motion to appoint Dan Bellinger to the Haddam Park and Rec Commission.
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, we are done. A motion to approve these.
Make that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
That's it.